Well, we sucked again tonight. Raptors, I mean, it's not 100. Well, it's over now. 125-103 against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and are now down 2-0 in the series, or 0-2, however you want to look at it. Now, game one, you gave up 116 points. You only scored 105. However, they let you score, a lot in that fourth quarter because you throw out your bench, they throw out their bench. You came back. This 23 or 22-point loss, that was generous. The Raptors outscored the Cavaliers by 4 in that fourth quarter. This game was just an all-out mess. Let's start with a few statistics here. Raptors shoot 47%. All in all, not too shabby. But you are playing Cleveland. They shoot 55%. You shoot 29% from 3. They shoot 54%. Again, the Raptors sucked. And two guys that we've been saying we need productivity from did absolutely nothing. Patrick Patterson, 18 minutes, 3 points on 1 of 3 shooting. You get DeMarre Carroll, who we're saying we need something out of. In 19 minutes, he had a whole goose egg and was 0 of 6. He was awful. Norman Powell, he got the start, but he only had the 8 points. He looked, but he was 3 of 6, 50%. Ibaka had 16 points, 5 boards on 50% shooting. But Kyle Lowry, 20 points, 5 assists, 7 of 12. He was great, but he leaves the game late with an ankle sprain. Great. And oh yeah, we have another all-star, don't we? DeMar DeRozan was atrocious in this game. 31 minutes, 5 generous points, 3 boards, 3 assists on 2 of 11 shooting, 18%, 1 of 3 from the free throw line. Look, DeMar said in that Milwaukee series that we would not see that garbage DeMar DeRozan again. We saw him again tonight. This guy is supposed to be our all-star, our MVP. And he just makes all the shots look so tough. I mean, look. If you're trying to compare 2 all-stars to 2 all-stars, you look at LeBron and you look at Kyrie. LeBron had 39 points, 6 boards, 4 assists. Kyrie had 22 points, 11 assists. Our 2 all-stars, Kyle Lowry had 20 and 5 assists. Then gets injured. DeMar, 5. Apparently, DeMar's our better all-star in a sense of, points per game and stuff like that. He was awful tonight. At one point, no pun intended on 1 point. At the end of the first half, DeMar DeRozan had 1 point. And what was that on? That was on a technical, if I'm not mistaken. And he was 0 of 8 from the field at the half. These guys are supposed to be the guys that are supposed to fuel this team. It's supposed to drive this team. And it's supposed to lead the charge. We looked at throughout the season, we're like, all right, we need that third guy to complement DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. Well, we need DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry to be themselves for us to even go anywhere. And Lowry was decent in this game. He had 20, in 30 minutes, so he wasn't bad. To be honest, he was probably one of our best players out there, but DeMar was nowhere to be found. And 2 guys coming off the bench. Corey Joseph had 22 points in 25 minutes. He was great. Some of that could have been down the stretch, yes, but overall, he was good. And Jonas Valanciunas. We talked about this all regular season. About how this guy has got to get playing time when he is hot. And my God, was he hot in this one. In 20 minutes, he had 23 points and 5 boards on 10 of 13 shooting for 76%. The guy was dynamite. And he only plays 20 minutes. I can't process it. But I'm not going to blame Dwayne Casey for this. I mean, as much as, yes, JV should have got more playing time, and, you know, Norman Powell had a tough night, but we all preached for him to be in there, and he was in there to start the game. So it's tough for us to complain about that. But, guys, in this game, you've got to look at Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. Now, Kyle was good until he got hurt, but DeMar, he's got to show up for this team to win. You know LeBron and you know Kyrie are going to, you know, do well, right? I mean, Kyrie, right? He was 6 of 19 shooting for 31%. That ain't too great, but he found a way to score 22, and he also had 11 dimes. They found ways to score, and the Raptors couldn't. Were there some calls that I do think should have gone the Raptors' way? Yes. Do I look at the 34 free throws for the Cavaliers and the 19 for the Raptors and I say, yeah, okay. But again, I'm not going to complain about that because the Raptors didn't shoot the ball well enough to beat the Cavaliers. Your all-star was not an all-star tonight. If DeMar and Kyle lit the game up and it was a tight game and these free throws these free throws were like they are, I would be like, okay, and there were calls that I'm like, that's tough to see. But if I'm going to complain about one thing about the referees, I'm going to say one thing. It's that the referees got to watch LeBron's elbows. Like, I'm sorry. He's driving elbows right through the Raptors, and we're getting the calls. We're getting called for it. They got to keep an eye out, because I know Norman Powell, I remember this one play. You know, LeBron tried to drive on Powell, elbowed him clearly in the face. Like, he just straight up comes and smacks him in the face. But Powell gets the foul. Just a little mess up, but you know what? I can't complain too much about the referees. The Raptors were flat out not good enough. And even on the defensive floor, they had some defensive miscues and led to, you know, that's the thing about Cleveland. You can be down 20, cut the deficit to 13. But in a flash, it can be right back up to 20, and that's exactly what happened tonight. And it kept going back and forth, and then they just kept pushing. And that's where it just fell through. Now they're coming home. I mean, we're desperate now at this point. I don't know what lineup changes to be made, if any. Just, I don't know what to say after this. For next game, all I can say is that anybody who's at the square or inside the Air Canada Center, be as loud as you can. Try and drive this team as much as we can because they need it right now. And we don't know how serious Kyle's injury is or whatever, you know, however long that's going to be. So they need as much support as they can get. So let's be as loud as we can and find a way to get a win. I mean, be all over the Cavaliers if you have to. Don't start swearing, you know, and saying racial slurs at people. But be loud and obnoxious and a pain in the rear, but don't be too crazy. You know what? You guys know what I mean. If you guys got the whole innuendo about being racist and everything. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this one because my goodness, this was just an all-out garbage show. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed this video. I mean, hit the subscribe button if you guys have not already. Comment down below what you guys thought of this garbage show and what are your suggestions for Game 3? We're back at home, but what are your suggestions? Any lineup changes? I mean, Patrick Patterson got the start and Powell got the start. Any new guys in the starting lineup? I mean, what do you guys think should happen? And we'll talk to you guys very shortly. Jays edition, as they're trying to hang on to that 6-5 lead as of right now against the New York Yankees. And also, like we've been saying, Raptors edition, Game 3. That's Friday night, 7 o'clock tip-off, back at the Air Canada Center. We got to be loud and try and push this team to get a win and claw back into the series. No pun intended, because we're Raptors. But when I say they desperately need to win, you can't go down 3-0. I mean, you just can't. So they got to do something. Hopefully they can get a win Friday. We'll talk to you guys then.